Welcome back to AM Northwest. If you love baklava but find phyllo too fussy, our next guest has the perfect dessert for you. Here to share a recipe from the all-new Milk Street Shorts, we welcome back Director of Education at Christopher Kimball's Milk Street, Rosie Gill. How you doing, Rosie?
I'm doing really well. Helen, how are you?
Good. You look gorgeous, by the way. Tell me about, first of all, tell me about the shorts, Milk Street Shorts. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah. So shorts means exactly that. We are maximizing flavor by taking out every single ingredient that does not need to be in a recipe.
Okay.
And then have you ever tried to impress your guests and put all the fancy things in a recipe?
Yeah.
And then it sort of has no point of view, and all those fancy things, you can't taste any of them.
Right.
So instead, we're trying to really do subtractive cooking. Less is more. And this broken baklava cake is such a good example. I call it the all parts lemon cake.
Okay.
So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just sort of smushing some lemon zest into some sugar. And then later, we're going to make a syrup like you often do with baklava, but we're going to use lemon, sort of strips of lemon zest instead of grated lemon zest, and lemon juice. We get that bright freshness from just using all the different parts of the lemon. You get a bright freshness that's really important in any baklava recipe, but this cake in particular, because you need contrast for 5 eggs and a whole cup of full-fat Greek yogurt, and another cup of nuts. So that's a lot of richness, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a syrup.
Yeah.
So when you have something like that, you need contrast. But you could choose, there are baklava recipes that use a little pomegranate molasses. We have one from Armenia. I'm also, just so you know, adding in some oil, some baking powder, and some salt.
Okay.
So you need freshness, but you could reach for any number of ways of getting that. And often we see that recipes reach for 2 or 3 or 4 types of acid or multiple types of sweetener. So baklava can have honey or sugar. We're just using sugar here, and we're going to use sugar in our simple syrup. So really it's about being a smart recipe developer, and I work with very smart recipe developers.
Yes, you do.
I do. But the other thing that's really great about shorts is it's about having fun again in the kitchen. That's my favorite part. You're being economical with your ingredients, but you're having fun. So with this, a lot of the recipes in shorts, we're rethinking how sort of your common perception on a dish. So this one rethinks baklava and cake. So baklava. You layer and you fold and you brush with butter, and you layer and you fold and you brush with butter, and you get fed up and you put all the phyllo in the freezer and it sort of lingers in there forever. So instead, what we did is we learned this in Crete. We toasted all of that sort of languishing phyllo.
Oh.
And it's the flour in our recipe. So we didn't want to be, so now I'm just sort of folding this in gently. So I cut it into strips, I toasted it, and then you fold it into the batter. And so what this does is it replaces the flour. You can be gentle, and you don't need to use your stand mixer. We don't need to develop gluten. This is sort of a custardy cake.
Okay.
And so it's a new take on cake because it's got these layers. You'll see when I show you these layers of flavor, just like baklava. And then obviously it's a wildly different take on baklava. Baklava doesn't usually. Right. It's not usually round. It's not usually a cake. But this is what I love about shorts is that everything's a little fun. And then all of the recipes have a ton of flavor, but through simple ingredients and steps. I'm not even using a stand mixer, right? So you just mix this all in. And then here comes the one layering part. You put half the batter into your prepared cake pan, just oil and parchment. And then you spread it out. And then when you eat baklava, is there a nut that you prefer? I'm sprinkling on pistachios.
Oh, pistachios are probably the best.
My husband too. I really like walnut baklava.
Yeah.
And so then, and then you layer on the top the same way.
Wow.
And one more layer of pistachios. And then this just goes into an oven for about 45 minutes at 350. That was your baklava preparation. That didn't take much.
No.
So then the last part is a syrup. So all baklavas also have a syrup. So here's a cake I just took out of the oven, so it's nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
And for this one, just so you know, I use pistachios and almonds, so it's flexible. So you poke some holes in it.
Yeah.
And then back to the all parts lemon. So we've used zest off half a lemon.
Right.
Then you put the strip zest from the other half of the lemon. You don't even need a second lemon. And then we add peppercorns and cardamom. Those are our spices to a simple syrup. So I'm just straining that. And I really love cardamom. I just think cardamom and lemon, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
And then what you do is you add, for just, you know, to gild the lily, a little either rose water or orange blossom water.
Huh.
I love orange because I think it's citrusy with the lemon.
Right.
And then here's the lemon juice. So that same lemon is just doing its work. And we've got our simple syrup.
Okay.
I like to let it cool for a little bit. So I have pre-made some simple syrup. When the cake is hot, you take it out of the oven. It's a lot of syrup. You think, oh my gosh, this is a disaster.
Yeah, but it's going to be all soaked in. Yeah.
See, I love cooking with you because you know how to cook. You've done my work for me. So sort of at this point, I just let it sit for a minute and then I'll come back and do more.
I love it. I love it. And I see that, look at that. That looks gorgeous. And you paired it with some ice cream, I'm assuming, right?
Well, so one last step. I paired it with whipped cream and I used the leftover yogurt to make it tart.
Love it.
And then if you can see, there are all these layers, just like baklava, but it's a cake.
Great job, Rosie. We want to tell everyone again, Milk Street Shorts is the new cookbook out by Milk Street. Thank you so much, Rosie Gill. Great to see you.
Good to see you too, Helen. Have a good day.
You too. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Stay with us.